think she tries to do the best she can for you, Anthony.
Everything will be all right. I promise you.
I'm a girl from a cotton field that pulled myself above what was not taught to me.
Hello, today we're losing our bearings with Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of dementia, retracing the ups and downs of superstar Tina Turner's career, and we're discovering a new David Bowie exhibit that blurs the lines between fandom and art. Let's start with the French release of Florian Zeller's film The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins and Olivia Colman. It's a story of an 80-year-old man suffering from dementia. The Oscar-winning film is shot from his perspective. Viewers get a glimpse into how the character is slowly losing his grip on reality.
Date of birth?
Friday, 31st of December, 1937.
An elderly man who, as time goes by, is losing his memory. It's become difficult for him to keep track of time. He's forgotten who his daughter is and who he is himself.
It's me.
Ah, there she is.
Your father seemed a bit confused.
Something wrong?
Where's Anne?
Sorry?
Anne, where is she?
I'm here.
The daughter is played by two actors, an idea that came from the director of The Father, Florian Zeller, as a way of portraying the man's confusion.
I don't know what she's cooking up against me, but she's cooking something up.
What are you talking about, Dad?
I didn't want The Father to just be a story. I wanted it to be almost like an experience, so that the audience can feel what it's like to lose your memory. So that's what the bulk of my work was, conveying what it feels like to become disoriented.
It was adapted from a play he'd written 10 years ago. And Anthony Hopkins won the Oscar for Best Actor for his performance in the film.
See, the situation is very simple. My daughter is of the opinion that I cannot manage on my own.
I'm so sorry about this.
Why? She understands perfectly. He thinks that they think he's going, but he shows them that he's not. He's in control of everything. But then he turns on them. He said, "Gotcha, you thought I was..." No, I'm not.
The play reached international success, a promising start for a film that tackles a widespread issue.
She tries to do the best she can for you, Anthony.
Everything will be all right. I promise you.
There's something funny going on.
Next, to a documentary that shines a spotlight on the successes and struggles of a singer who is simply the best. Tina follows global performer Tina Turner's ascent to stardom, as well as her abusive marriage to Ike Turner. The documentary is out on HBO in the US and Sky in the UK. France 24's Jennifer Ben Brahim spoke to the co-directors of Tina to find out more.
Look what I have done in this lifetime with this body. I'm a girl from a cotton field that pulled myself above what was not taught to me.
That idea of Tina's complicated relationship with her own narrative is something we discovered early on and something that we knew we wanted to explore in the film.
We rehearsed constantly. And then the pressure came that we had to work more to try to get a hit. And I was afraid.
Now I think for her it's very much about honoring this chapter in her life.
Dan Lindsay and TJ Martin, hello.
Thanks for having us.
The name Tina Turner was not in fact her birth name. Identity and reinvention are really central to this documentary. Can you tell us more about that?
That name was given to her by Ike Turner. Ike, in many ways, viewed Tina as a commodity. Something that he needed to control. And so that name, I mean, that was the only thing she got in the divorce, was the ability to perform under the name Tina Turner. And for her to take that, reappropriate that name, and you know, turn it into the to the name that's associated with the Tina Turner that we all know and love now, you know, that yeah, that's definitely something we were exploring in the film. I think also the idea of just owning your own story.
I started really seeing that I had to make a change. The divorce, I got nothing. No money, no house. So I said, I'll just take my name.
Now, a large part of the documentary focuses on her abusive relationship with her husband, Ike Turner. How challenging was it for you to cover this topic in a sensitive way?
It's a good question. Nothing's off the table with Tina. She's willing to talk about any aspect of her life. It's just she is very vocal in recognizing that it has consequences. She told us early on that if she spends too much time talking about the past, and specifically the time with Ike, that it manifests itself into nightmares. Created this question: how do you create a space and navigate it respectfully? And having been fortunate enough to receive the tapes from Kurt Loder's interviews with her in the construction of I, Tina, the book, and the tapes from Carl Arrington, who wrote the People magazine article in 1981, which is the first time she actually went public with her story. For us, it actually gave us a little bit of liberty to, more than anything, to get Tina's perspective at 80 years old on the story as a whole.
Now, talking about it so openly was really pretty groundbreaking for that era. 40 years on, domestic abuse and sexual violence are still very much part of the conversation. What can this generation take away from watching Tina?
You know, the decision to come forward for Tina wasn't about her desire to be an activist or a symbol or say, I'm going to do this to affect this change. For Tina, it was very much about her wanting to carve out a space for herself in a record industry that was trying to pigeonhole her in a certain way. In terms of learning something, I think it's that really what's so inspirational about Tina is she had a vision for her life and she took the steps necessary to manifest that.
Her ability to leave Ike is seen as a heroic act. But I think what we lose sight of, right, is the journey of her becoming a symbol is we lose sight of the fact that there's a survivor at the center of it. And I think that's 100% applicable to anyone who's had the courage to come forth with their story of abuse or some form of trauma.
My mother, she used to sit in the window of the kitchen when she was making dinner on Sundays. I used to just watch her. I thought she was so pretty. One day she wasn't in that window. She was never in it again. I wanted her to come for me. And I waited. She never did.
Another wound that we kind of see in the documentary was a wound inflicted on her from her parents' abandonment at an early age. How important was this moment for Tina Turner's career, for her life?
I think for her life, it was one of the most important things that happened to her. She's still nearing 80 years old, is you know, in our conversations with her, is still processing the idea of the feeling of being abandoned as a child. The thing that is slightly ironic about that is her mom was fleeing an abusive relationship. And part of why she couldn't tell Tina where she was going was for her own safety.
And Tina Turner, review!
It was Ike's band, but Tina was the shining star.
When I saw her dance, she was all I could look at.
We're really lucky enough to see some amazing archival footage of Tina on stage or rehearsing, and we can just see what a fantastic performer she is. Now, unlike other documentaries of the same genre, you chose to not just concentrate on the music. Why was that the case?
To do Tina's story fully justice, you needed to do a 10-part series. Every chapter of her life is its own film, and I think there is a film to be made that's really about her artistry and her legacy within the music industry. That's just not the approach we took. The thing that we always felt was missing is this exploration of Tina's voice. What is Tina's perception on the story of Tina? Instead of populating the film with a bunch of celebrities and musicians telling you how amazing of a vocalist she is while you're watching the performance, we just stripped that and just played the performance out for you so you can engage in it, so you can appreciate it, so you can experience her artistry on stage.
No, I don't consider it a comeback. Tina had never arrived. It hurts to have to remember those times. But at a certain stage, forgiveness takes over.
Has Tina Turner seen the documentary yet? And if so, what does she make of it?
You know, we had a lot of anxiety showing it to her. And when you see the film, you can see why. We didn't want the film itself to be a triggering thing for Tina, but she watched it and she said that it was actually not as hard for her to watch as she thought it may have been, which I think speaks to the idea which we address at the end of the film, is Tina coming to this sort of acceptance with her story.
From one musical legend to another, French theatre Le Palace has temporarily transformed its lobby into an altar for David Bowie memorabilia. The Space Oddity singer had never actually taken the stage at this particular venue, but according to organisers, he had partied there himself back when it used to be a club. Two fans contributed their vast collections of posters, objects, promotional art and vinyls to the exhibit.
Our main collector, who provided a lot of this exhibition, was 16, 17 years old when he went to Brixton Town Hall, where David Bowie, or rather David Jones, was born. He just went and asked for the birth certificate, pretending to be David Jones's cousin. The lady said to him, "Okay, David Jones." He came back 2 hours later with the birth certificate of his idol.
And finally, let's wrap up with Sir Paul McCartney's upcoming miniseries, McCartney 321. Alongside famed music producer Rick Rubin, the rock star analyses his own musical history from the Beatles' years to his solo career, dissecting the making of hit songs, as well as sharing personal anecdotes and musical influences. The 6-part documentary is set to premiere on streaming platform Hulu in mid-July. That's it for today's show. Keep in touch online, though. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll leave you with the trailer of McCartney 321.
I thought everyone had loving families and everyone was very nice to each other. And of course, later I found that's not true. We realized, we were writing songs that were memorable, not because we wanted them to be memorable, but because we had to remember them.
Live and let die.